Welcome to our channel Elimika Mtandaoni. We are in the third episode of research data analysis using Excel. Now we will talk about how we can do analysis using descriptive. But before going to the real analysis, now let us describe some descriptive measures. Let us talk about some descriptive measures. In descriptive statistics, we have a number of measures. We have a number of measures that include a sum, that include looking for average, median, maximum, minimum, standard deviation, variance, skewness, counting, etc. So all those measures are found under descriptive statistics. So in this video, we will talk about these measures, how you can use Excel to find these measures. Excel provides us with a number of functions to calculate such measures. So we'll start with the sum as a measure in descriptive analysis. So sum, what if, for example, you want to find a sum? You want to find the sum. What do you go about this? To find sum in Excel, you just start by putting an equal sign. Start by putting an equal sign followed by the word sum. Then after you have put the word sum, then you put the numbers that you want to sum. For example, I want to sum this 23, I want to sum 65, I want to sum, let's say 23. After you have selected the number, say you have selected 23, which is in C5. Then you separate it by a comma. Then you go to another number that you want to sum. I want to sum 21 again. Then you put comma. I want to sum 23. Then you put comma. Want to sum 18. Then after that, say this 18. After you have finished, then what you do, you close your brackets. So you put equal sign followed by the word sum, then you open your brackets, then you put cells that you want to sum. After you have finished, then you press enter. So here we have summed C, C5, C7, C9, and C11. So that is how we do sum. But sometimes you want to sum the whole range. You want to sum the whole range. You want to sum all these numbers in their totality. What you have to do again, you put an equal sign followed by the word sum. Then in here, you put range. So you open your brackets, then you put range. When we talk about range, you put from the starting number to the ending number. That means the range is from C5 to C14. So you separate the first number that you want to sum in a range and the last number, you separate it by a full colon. Then after that, you close your brackets. After you have done that, you press enter. So that is how we find sum. But in some cases, you will find yourself that you need to find sum with a certain criteria. You need to find sum with a certain criteria. So to do that, then you have to opt for what we call sum if. This one here, sum if. How do you do with the sum if? You again, just like we did with the sum, you start by putting an equal sign followed by the word sum if. After you have put the word sum if, then you select the range where you want to test, where you want to test that criteria. For example, I want to test the criteria in this range. For example, think of this. I want to sum all those edges that are less or equal to 40. That are less or equal to 40. So where are those values found? In which range? They are found in this range from C5 to C14. C5 to C14. Then you put a comma. After you have put a comma, it is followed by criteria or a condition. We say that a condition, what we want to sum should be less or equal to 40. So I put something like this, then I say less or equal to 40. Again, I put quotes there. Then this is followed by a sum range. Speaking of sum range, that means the first range that we have put is the range where we can find our testing condition. And the second that we call sum range, that is the range that we want to find values where we can sum. So we are in the same range that we want to sum. So I will select the same range again. I will select the same range in here. That is what I want to sum. So after that, I cross the brackets. After I've done that, then I say okay. So these values that we have got here, is the value that include numbers that are less or equal to 40, the sum of numbers that are less or equal to 40. So the condition here, you say equal sign, then you say sum if followed by a range where you will test your condition. Then it is followed by a condition that you want to test. After that condition, then you put the range where you will sum those values from. So that is sum if. Again, now we move to sum ifs. So in sum ifs, again, this here you want to test two or more conditions. Let me give you an example. For example, in the above example, we say that we want to sum values that are less or equal to 40. We can add another condition. We say we want to sum values or ages that are less or equal to 40, but they should be male. And as we coded our data, we said that gender, one represent a male and two represent a female. So we want to test two conditions. The first condition is age, and the second condition is gender. So with the sum ifs, so we will start by putting an equal sign, then we will write sum ifs. Then here we will put the sum range. Speaking of sum range, this is the range that we want to sum. The sum range is the range that we want to sum. Remember, we want to sum ages, so we will select this sum age. That is, we select from C5 to C14. C5 to C14. After we put a comma, then we put a criteria range. We again put a criteria range. Now, the criteria range, we start with the first criteria. We want to test if age is less or equal to 40. So we go and test this first to be our criteria range. That is C5 to C14. C5 to C14. After we have put our criteria range, this is followed by a comma. Then after a comma, there is where you put your criteria. The first criteria is it should be less or equal to 40. Then after that, it is followed by again another criteria range. Another criteria range is the gender. So we select that other criteria range, that is the gender. That means D5 to D14. After we have put our criteria range, we put an equal, we put a comma. That is followed by your testing condition. Now we want to test if they are male. Then we put is equal to 1. After we have finished that, we close our brackets. So as you can see now, speaking of sum ifs, that means we have more than one criteria we want to test. So we want to test if age is less or equal to 40 and that age should be age of a male. So if we put we press enter there, it will give us the sum. So that is how we do sum using sum ifs. Another important measure in descriptive is average. If you want to find the mean, that means that is average. How do you go about average? You again put equal sign. After equal sign, then it is followed by the word average. It is followed by the word average. Then you put the numbers that you want to find the average. For example, I want to find the average of 23. After you have selected that, you put comma, then 23 and 20. So those are the two numbers that I want to find the average. So you say average is equal to average C9, comma C10. That means 23 and 20. So if we press enter here, then it will find average, that is 21.5. But you can find average using a range. That means through this range, you want to find the average. That means more than one number. So you again write the word, you write equal sign followed by average. Then you open your brackets. Then you put your range. The range was C5 to C14, C5 to C14. Then you close your brackets. After that, you press enter. But again, we can have what we call average. We can have what we call average if. That means we want to find the average if a certain condition is met. Again, if you want to find average if, the syntax is you write the word average if, then you put the range, then the range that you want to test, that is followed by a criteria. For example, the range that we want to test here is C5 range C14. Then you put a comma followed by criteria. Let's say we want to find now if they are less or equal to 30. Then we put this, say less or equal to 30. Less or equal to 30. Then you put a comma again. Now you come to the average range. Where do you want to find, which range do you want to find the average? So it's the same range, that is C5 to C14. After that, you close your brackets, then you press enter. So that is the average in the range if that criteria is met. Lakini as we did with the sum if, again we have what we call average if and we have average ifs. Now, how about median? So in median, what you do again, you say equal sign followed by the word median. After you have put the word median, then you put the numbers that you want to find their median. For example, we want to find this number in C12 and another number in C14. After that, close your brackets and you press enter. But if you want to find a range of numbers, then you put the word sum, you put the equal sign, then you say median, put median, then followed by a bracket, then you put your range. Let's say C5 range C14, put C14, then you close your brackets, you press enter, you've found your median. So if we move to, if you are looking for a maximum number from your a certain range, then you start by the word the symbol equal sign, then you say max. After I put max, then you list your numbers. Let's say this, what is the max number between C10, comma, C12, comma, and C14. Now, after that, you close your bracket. So we have three numbers, 20, 45, and 30. I know now you know what is the maximum number between those. So if you put equal sign, now you get a maximum number, which is 45. The same applies to a minimum number. Now you put equal sign, then followed by the word mean. After mean, then you open your brackets, then you put the numbers that you are looking for. For example, the minimum number between C9, C11, C9. Let's start with C9, C9, comma, C11, comma, C14. Now, here, after you have selected your numbers, then you close brackets. As for now, we know the minimum number there is 18. So if we press enter, we get 18. But for the maximum and minimum, as we did with the sum and average, you can also find maximum and minimum through a range. So if you are given a range, then you put equal sign. Again, you say maximum, then you open your brackets and you put your range. Let's say this is C5, range C14, C14. Then you close your brackets, you put there, you get your maximum number as well as minimum number if you say mean, and you put your range. Again, we can go for standard deviation. If you are looking for a standard deviation, then you put equal sign, then followed by the word stdef. So then you select your numbers. Let's say we have C5, comma, let's say C11 and C14. So we want to find standard deviation of those numbers. So if you select that, you put the word stdef, then you say, you press enter. That is the standard deviation. But you can find standard deviation for a range. If you can find standard deviation for a range, so you say stdef, like you have done with those other numbers. You open your brackets, then you put your range. Let's say C5, range of C14. Now you close your brackets, you press enter, you have got your standard deviation. Same with the variance. You can say just equal to var, then you can say equal to var, then you select your numbers. Let's say C5, comma, C8, comma, C11. So those are the numbers. Then you close your brackets, then you press enter. That is your standard deviation. Another measure in descriptive analysis is count. If you want to count the number of cells in a certain range, so what you do, you put your equal sign, then followed by the word count, then you put the values that you want to count. Let's say you have a C5, comma, C11, comma, C12. Then again, you close your brackets, press enter. You get 3 numbers. But you can have a range. If you have a range, again, you put equal sign, then you say count. You open your brackets, you put your range. Let's say C5, full colon, C14. After that, you close your brackets, you press enter. So you have 10 cells or 10 values. But you can also count with certain conditions. For example, you want to count all those values that are equal to 30. So what you can do, you put equal sign, and again followed by count if. You put the word count if. After you put the word count if, then you put your range, that is C5, range of C14. Then you put comma, again you put your testing condition here, that means equals to 30. So after you have done that, you press enter, and it tells you that the only cell with the 30 is 1. Again, you can do what we call count ifs. If you can test more than one condition, what you do, you put equal sign followed by the word count ifs. Then you put a criteria range. A criteria range means that the range where you want to test your condition. What's the criteria range? For example, we want to test the criteria range from C5 to C14. Then what is next? A criteria. Let's say we are testing whether it is equal to, it is less or equal. it is less or equal, that other example, less or equal to 40. We want to count those values. Then that is the first criteria that we want to test. Then after you have put that, again you come to after you have done that, then you come to another a criteria range that you want to test. Let's say I want to test D5 to D14, D5 to D14. Then here I want to test whether is a male or female, so I put equal to 1. Then again, the last thing is the range that you want to count. Which range you want to count? After you have selected the criteria range and the criteria, then the range that you want to test, that is let's say C5 to C14. After you have finished, you close your there is a mistake here. There's a mistake here. There is a mistake here. Let us we have our criteria range followed by criteria. Then again we put another criteria range followed by a criteria. So here we put let's say C4, C5, comma, full colon, C14, then followed by a criteria. Our criteria is we said it is less or equal to 40. Then we close our brackets, then we put a comma. Then again we have another criteria range, that is, let's say D5, comma, D14 again. Then it is followed by a testing. Now we have equal to 1, that means male. Then followed by, we put now the range that we want to count. The range that we want to count, that is C. Oh no, we don't put here again any range here. Just press enter, because here we have the criteria range followed by the criteria that we want to test, then followed by the criteria range and the criteria that we want to test. If we had another criteria here, we could say let's say we want to test again if this person smokes or doesn't smoke. If this person smokes or doesn't smoke, then we could go for E5, comma, a full colon, E14. Then here we'll say this person smokes. That means we put equal to 2. Then we close our brackets. After we press enter, then we'll get our counting values. So thank you very much. Thank you for following Elimika Mtandaoni. This is our third episode in the episodes of data analysis using Excel. Don't forget to subscribe, share, so that you can get knowledge about a lot of things. This is Agustino Mogosi, and you are following Elimika Mtandaoni. In the next episode, we'll be talking more about descriptive analysis, some other things that we can do like frequencies and percentages. Thank you very much. This is Elimika Mtandaoni.